Hare Krishna. So, sorry. I'm doing great. Okay, Hare Krishna. So today we are discussing something about. Let me first try and ask you. All of you are here. How many of you are here? Like 16 rounders. Okay. Now keep your hands up. How many of you are chanting for more than, let's say, 2 years, 16 rounds? Okay. All right. All right. Okay. How many of you are here who had been consistently chanting from last 4 years? I'm not asking 16 rounds, just chanting. Last 4 years. Okay, 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 okay. ठीक है, all right. So, so let me just first get, before I introduce the topic, let me first understand how the audience is. I'm not able to see some of the audience just in my straight line because of this tripod. Can you just keep, can you just keep get yourself aside so that I can see everybody? I can have view of all the audience who are sitting here. Rahul Vaishnav, you can come here. Okay. All right. All right. So that I can see everybody. Okay. Now I want to ask you. See, there is one book called as Bhakti Rasamrita Sindhu, and Prabhupada makes it a summarized study that is called as Nectar of Devotion. How many of you read through at least first 19 chapters or so of Bhakti Rasamrita Sindhu, Nectar of Devotion? Okay, all right, okay, good enough, good enough. So basically I wanted to start some topic, but before that I was just trying and understanding from where we can start off. The starting point has to be cleared, right? So where we can start off this discussion. The discussion is about the spiritual journey of a practitioner, a spiritual journey of a sadhaka, right? Come ahead, come here. So all of us go through certain journey, right? है ना? हम यहाँ पे भी आए तो कोई journey we came through here, right? So we all go through a journey called as a spiritual journey, wherein we kind of get certain. We have to start off from some starting point, and we have decided some destination, isn't it? ऐसा तो नहीं था ना, जब बॉम्बे से हम स्टार्ट हुए थे तो हमने सोचा था कि जाएंगे बोरीवली नेशनल पार्क, बट वी लैंडेड इनटू द गोवर्धन इको विलेज, नो ना? Okay. So we had decided some destination point, and we were starting at certain point, and then we started our journey, right? So this is what the journey I want to speak about for today. You see the hill behind? You must have seen the hill behind, right? Govardhan Eco Village. How many of you had gone trekking on that hill? Okay. Oh, just few of you. All right. Just few of you. All right. So going and trekking on that hill, I had done it twice. So, and that was the same kind of rainy season. First time when we had come to here, Govardhan Eco Village. It was like a very rainy season, and we were here for BT batch, a Brahmachari training batch, when there was nothing here. You see that one old building of G+2, that was the only building, and all others were few huts, that's all. There was no temple. A temple was on the second floor, small temple, Gaunita temple, that's all. There was nothing, all everywhere dark, all everywhere the plants, and in the night time we don't even look at the dark areas, we used to get fearful. That was so dark, pitch dark. And then there was nothing here, and we started trekking, and one fine day our trainer decided, let's go, let's meet the nature. and we started trekking. How we started, we had some sleepers and probably, no umbrellas also. We said, just be with the nature, okay. And at certain point, we have to leave the sleepers aside because you cannot walk with the sleepers. There's so muddy land, and we walked ahead. We reached the top. The second time I had come with a few students, and I was started a trekking. So we were in the deep jungle. Actually, when you get in there, you don't understand where you are, where you landed. So I knew we are going to mess up with the path. So I had called upon one local helper who can come with us for the trekking there. A local guy who know-hows of what these areas are, know-hows of where this path goes, right? Before starting, I was just showing them, you see that the top on the hill, you see a peak, and on that peak there is a big stone. And I told them, you see that big stone? I said, that big stone is good enough like your Vrindavan one room. That's big enough. Actually, I just speculated that, right? Just some guesswork I thought about, this might be, when we go there, probably this much will be that rock will be that size. Then we walked. Few of my friends, few of those who were accompanying us, they just dropped in between. They said, I can't go further. We can't go further. We are just too close. It was just, we have reached to a second high peak. And we had just few things to climb and we were there. But he said, no, I can't. Just at that, the second high peak, he just stopped there and says, no going further. I'm just dropping out here. And we said, okay, all right, your choice. So then on the way we thought, we may lose upon the path because we cannot keep the whole group together. Although we were repeatedly saying, be together, be together, be together. But then we thought of dropping some color papers. In the trekking, sometimes you drop some color papers. How many have that idea? So that you can trace it back. Yeah? You can trace it back, how to come down. Right? So we dropped some color papers. We went high. We went to the highest peak. We were coming down, we lost. Because while coming down, on the top, you could see the things from the top. But as you are coming down from the deep forest in the middle, you are lost. This path, this path, this path. Which path to catch? And we were looking for those color papers, gone. We could not trace it. And as we landed down, we thought we are on the right path, but we landed into the neighboring village. And then, that's how, then we all called up somebody and then they picked us up from the roadside. So all this I was telling to you is like somewhat similar to what happens to our spiritual journey too. What happens in the spiritual journey is, we have started the spiritual journey. As we are here, it says that we have started our spiritual journey. And some of you may have started 4-5 years back, some of you may have started just 1 or 2 years back, but we have already began our journey. So we are somewhere right now and we know the destination. From here, it looks clear what the destination is, right? Isn't it? You are able to see that the top peak from here, isn't it? Yes? But on the way, when you go deep jungle, there is always a probability that you may get lost and you may go to some neighboring hill or peak. And after going there, then you may realize, oh, yahan to humko nahi jana tha. Right? So there may be a possibility. There could be a possibility. So basically, if you have started the track, what do you need then? What is your starting point? Where is your destination point? And where are you on the path? Right? Isn't it? And for that, they use a GPS. But will the GPS work here? No way, right? It will not give you any trace of where the pathways are. So a GPS system will also not do. So just imagine how disheartening will be for our spiritual life where we have started, but we are just so close to that peak, to the destination, but then we give up. मुझसे नहीं हो पाएगा. I'm just done with this, I'm just done with this. I think it is very far for me. I'm giving up. And we see so many of your friends, probably they could not make it, right? So many of your friends who started their spiritual journey, but just they gave up in between. है ना? They just started a trek, but gave up in between. There could be, it's very disheartening to know that when we are so close, but they just gave up and they walked down their own way. Some of the other people, they may start thinking, okay, I know the destination now. I can easily trace it now. I know my starting point, I know my ending point, and this looks like the path, simple way. I'll just do it. Okay, no worries. I'll just go on, right? But if you lose the focus, what will happen? You land up somewhere else. You land up into the neighboring village. You land up into some other point, right? How again distressful is that situation? You caught upon a different path than what you had thought about, isn't it? It's very distressful to know that. Exactly, this is what happens in our spiritual journey. What happens to those people who are in a spiritual journey? The most of the two things who don't make it to the right destination. Two things. First thing happens is they lose the hope. Another mic. We had a mic, another. Yeah. So, Hare Krishna. So we lose, first thing what happens is, for them is they lose a hope. Right? They lose a hope that I may not able to make it. It is not a time for me probably. It is, I will not able to make it. So hope for them is they give it so early, even though they were so close, but they give it up. Another thing happens for those people who cannot make it is they lose focus. Unfortunately, they lose the focus that this is a path, they try and catch upon something else. Hope and focus. Although it looks like two different things, exactly opposite of each other, but that's what a conditioned soul oscillates between, like a pendulum. Sometimes loses hope, sometimes loses the focus. That's what. A focus he loses because he sometimes thinks I'm very confident. All is good in my life. I don't need to be so much pressurizing me for austerity and be determined. It's cool. I'm going on well, right? That's where he loses the focus, right? And he loses the hope when he has nothing ahead to look forward for. That's where. So I told you, we had carried one person along with us who is a local guy who is very well know this pathway very well, right? Isn't it? So that pathway in our spiritual life, somebody who knows, is called as Acharya. Okay. Now he is an Acharya actually who guides us into this spiritual journey. He has seen through so many people and he guides us what is our starting point, what is our ending destination. Don't just give up in between. And he keeps us moving. He keeps us encouraging to walk on this path of the spiritual journey. So that's what the Acharya's job is. And Acharyas have made it so simple for us. It's so hopeful and so simple for all of us. So sometimes in a map you see, of a big university, let's say, you see a map. and then they write there, one point is you are here, right? You have seen this? In a big map on the screen, they say you are here. That means they are showing right now this is your position, and where you have to reach, there is a pathways. That's what the acharyas can show us. Where are you in your spiritual journey, right? And accordingly that stage, you move to the further stage. Understanding my point? Yes? Are we together? Yes. Are we together? Yes. Thank you. So, yes. So, if we keep walking on that path, we'll reach the destination, we'll reach that goal, and they have mapped the whole journey from the starting point to end point. What are the milestones in this journey? They have mapped it so well. Many times we see people go through the failures. Scriptures talks about when we are actually very close to our final destination. That's meeting with Krishna. Yesterday we discussed Dhruva Maharaj wanted to see the darshan of the Lord, right? And that's what we are also aspiring for. So we are not very far. How many of you think we are very far from our final that destination? How many of you think? We are very far? We are very far? No! We are very close. We are very close. Don't just think about this life. We have lived so many lives. We have lived so many lives. After going through the so many species of life, we got a human form of life. And this human form of life, what the verse which talks about the rarity of human form of life and the Krishna consciousness, getting Krishna consciousness in human form of life, from Bhagavad Gita. Huh? Manushyanam sahasreshu kashchit yatati siddhaye yatatam api siddhayam. So out of there are thousands of people who are actually wondering to know where they can find, then out of those 1,000, one may come to the right path and to the perfection. You are already on the right path and moving towards the perfection. There are billions of people who are outside, and you are those chosen ones. That means you already began your journey so well, right? Compared to the so many birds, Brahmanda Brahmite Kona Bhagyavan Jeev. We have gone through so many species. Guru Krishna Prasade Pai Bhakti Lata Bij. So we have, by fortune of Srila Prabhupada and this ISKCON Gurus, we have got that Bhakti Lata Bij. Are we not fortunate enough? Are we not fortunate enough? Yes. So keep a hope. If you compare that long lifespan, we are very close. We are very close to our destination, right? Keep a hope. Don't lose your hope and don't lose your focus, right? So this is very important for all of us to understand. We are actually incredibly close to our success. We are just, there are Olympics going on, like there are many rounds. So we are just in a final lap and we are so close to the destination. But sometimes we see, in sometimes these races, somebody becomes very proud, overly confident and starts wavering before he reaches to the line, and some accidents happen and collapses, right? Cannot make it, right? So let's not lose the focus, and at the same time, let's not lose the hope, right? So as I said, Acharyas have already given a wonderful map for all of us. So this map is nothing but, Lord Shri Krishna talks about what this map is actually scriptures. The scriptures talks about knowledge. Lord Shri Krishna presented Bhagavad Gita's knowledge. Yoginam api sarvesham. बोलिए थोड़ा. मद गते रंत्र आत्मना श्रद्धावान भजते योमा समय युक्त तमोमता. So what does that mean is actually, if you have to connect to me, Krishna is saying that connection to me means what? Connection to me is what? Yoga, right? So connection, Hare Krishna. So connection to me, Krishna says in Bhagavad Gita. In the Bhagavad Gita, he says there is a yoga, right? And he talks of many varieties of yoga. What all yoga he talks about? Karma yoga, Jnana yoga, Sankhya yoga, Ashtanga yoga, Bhakti yoga, right? Many yoga he talks about. But what does he says? Shraddhavan bhajate yomam samay yukta tamoma. Who can get to the success is somebody who is practicing, right? That's the proper conclusion he comes to. He may explain many paths, but he comes to this point and again that bhakti is the ultimate, bhakti is the simplest way, and bhakti is the ultimate way to come to the destination, right? So he has already pointed out the path is bhakti. Bhagavad Gita very well establishes, but still it is still a kind of a theoretical study where we are comparing different paths and establishing the highest. The bhakti is established. Then comes his Srimad Bhagavatam. What is the Srimad Bhagavatam says? The Srimad Bhagavatam talks about, if the Bhagavad Gita gives about what is the highest process, the bhakti is the highest process, Srimad Bhagavatam talks about, what does the Srimad Bhagavatam talks about? Huh? Okay, other than that? About the bhaktas. What about the bhaktas? How they?
How they do bhakti in their life.
Yes.
And what difficulty they face.
Very good. Yes. So bhaktas, Srimad Bhagavatam talks about the different situation bhakta goes through, and even in those different situations, how they exemplifies this practice of bhakti. Isn't it? Yes. So actually, Bhagavatam sets an example for us to follow and get inspired by that example, right? We get inspired. This sets our destination. This gives us an inspiration how to walk on this path, right? Now, to walk on this path, we need to, okay, now we have decided we have to walk. We have so many examples to have, right? We have many examples. Now, the point is how to carry out the bhakti. Is a bhakti a sentimental process? Many people, they come across and they say, भक्ति आप लोग क्या करते हैं मंदिर में जाके? वही हरे कृष्णा करते रहते हैं, राइट? बोलते हैं ना बहुत सारे लोग ऐसे, क्या मिलता है उसमें? हा? हमारे सिर्फ मन में है, हमारे मन में भगवान, हमको ऐसा बाहर दिखाने की ज़रूरत नहीं है, तिलक, कंठी माला, ऐसा जब बिड बैग गले में लेके हमको घूमने की ज़रूरत नहीं है, हमारे मन में है भगवान. कितने मन में है? इतने मन में है कि उनको बाहर कभी निकलते ही नहीं है ना? वो इतने अंदर मन में है कि वहाँ पे नेटफ्लिक्स, अमेज़ॉन प्राइम, ये सब से अगर कुछ कॉर्नर में कहीं पे जगह होगी तो उनके लिए होगी, है ना? So point I was saying, yeah. So yes, so bhakti is not a sentimental process, but our acharyas have shown us bhakti is a science which you can practice and apply into your so much life. That science is explained in a book called as, no? Okay, Chaitanya Charitamrita talks about this. Bhakti Rasamrita Sindhu, Nectar of Devotion. That's a Srila Rupa Goswami, and Srila Rupa Goswami bases this knowledge from his teaching what he received from Lord Shri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. Okay, so from this 10 days of teaching, he writes upon the whole, carry out his whole work, and he writes this Bhakti Rasamrita Sindhu. Now, Bhakti Rasamrita Sindhu, he talks about the different major phases of the life in a bhakti. What are the three major phases of a bhakta? What the Bhakti Rasamrita talks about? Okay, many of you are not read probably, or may have been out of your mind. Yes, sorry. Okay, that's like a stage of a practitioner. I'm asking about the stage of a bhakti practices. Okay, I will come to this. So Bhakti Rasamrita Sindhu actually educates us. It educates us about the science of bhakti, right? And it educates us, it shows us there are three major steps: sadhana bhakti, bhava bhakti, and prema bhakti. Right? That's what it talks about. Bhakti Rasamrita Sindhu, it educates us, whereas it doesn't talk so much about the detailed steps involved. You know, it has talk about the map in a broad way. आप इधर से जाएंगे तो पहले ज़मीन मिलेगा, फिर थोड़ा सा स्टीप रहेगा, फिर थोड़ा सा प्लेटो आएगा, फाइनल डेस्टिनेशन. Bhakti Rasamrita Sindhu. Whereas we need some more detailings where we are currently and how can we rise above. Isn't it? That detailing work is done by, very good. Who says that? Thank you. What's your name? You also said that? Okay. Madhurya Kadambini. No, the word looks very fancy, right? Madhurya. No, it's nothing about the very pastimes of Lord Shri Krishna and Radharani or something. Madhurya Kadambini, it talks about how can we rise above the stages. So Bhakti Rasamrita Sindhu, it explains the the two verses. These two verses are expanded into Madhurya Kadambini by, very good, Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur. So Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur writes this, and there is a Srila Rupa Goswami writes this. So Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur, he actually expands these stages, and he says how can understand at which stage we are and go to the higher stage. How can we go to the higher stage? How can we go to the higher stage? That's our journey of our spiritual life. That's a Madhurya Kadambini. Very wonderful book. I will not go into the so much details of it because we have like a mixed crowd here. Sometimes in the future, probably if we get some time or some way, if we get to attend some course based upon Madhurya Kadambini, please make it a choice. But there before, please try and study this nectar of devotion and some good, this our science of bhakti. Okay. So coming back to, where was I? Yeah, Madhurya Kadambini. So Madhurya Kadambini talks about the 9 different stages. Now, can you pull out your mobile or your, if you have a notebook and pen, that's very good, and write down the 9 stages what you know of bhakti. I'm not asking about 9 processes, 9 stages of bhakti. If you know, write down. Do we have a bigger board? Madhur Prabhu? Is he around? Do we have? Not possible. Okay, all right. Okay, done? Done? Okay. I want somebody to volunteer. Can some of you volunteer to write down something on the board? Okay, yes. What's your name? Hitesh. Hitesh, yes. Please erase this. Oh yeah, whole thing. So the first stage is called as Adho Shraddha. Very good. Yes. Let's understand the journey of spiritual life. The first stage is called as Adho Shraddha. थोड़ा साइड में लिखो क्योंकि मुझे वो वाला भी पार्ट यूज करना है. हाँ, कहीं पे भी लिखो पर साइड में लिखो. Adho Shraddha. Now what does the Adho Shraddha means? It begins with the faith. Sorry, the bhakti begins with the faith. Okay. So you must have come across some people, somebody who got you because you had some Shraddha, you had developed some Shraddha, some beginner Shraddha, and that's why you followed that advice and you came to temple. That's why you register for Journey of Self-Discovery course, device course, Bhagavad Gita. You showed some interest in Bhagavad Gita, isn't it? Yes? So you had a beginning, some faith, right? So bhakti starts with the faith. Okay? Bhakti starts with the Ado Shraddha. Okay. After having a Ado Shraddha, you go and attend that course, you go to the temple. What happens next? When you repeatedly start engaging, start going to the temple, somebody notices you and says you, Hare Krishna, who are you? What are you? And he starts speaking to you, right? And then he sees you regularly. Oh, you didn't come yesterday? Oh, what was the issue? Okay, take this prasad, right? And he starts speaking to you more and more, more and more. And there could be a good association it develops. The second stage is Sadhu Sangha. Sadhu Sangha. So our faith matures to the Sadhu Sangha. We receive the association. And when we receive the association of devotees, will it be very too long that he will hand over to you mala? Right? Hai na? It will not take very long for you to take upon the beads. It will not be very long enough for you that you start practicing some level of bhakti, reading Bhagavad Gita, following 4 regulative principles, or start chanting the holy names on regular basis, right? Isn't it? So that is called as next stage, called as Bhajana Kriya. After Sadhu Sangha comes Bhajana Kriya. As you start doing a Bhajana Kriya, what happens is everybody start noticing, तुम थोड़ा बदल गया, बोलते हैं ना, तुम थोड़ा बदल गया, पहले जैसा नहीं रहा तुम. क्यों? Because now you are trying to avoid certain things, right? No habits of going on that chalk and having a corner side. You understood. I need not to be very specific, right? So then you try to avoid that kind of intoxication or that kind of engagement where you may get caught up into. Isn't it? Isn't it? But there is a struggle, right? There is a struggle because they are pulling you and you don't want to and you are not able to do it. There is a struggle. That struggling phase is called as slowly, slowly it purifies. The more you practice, the more it purifies. The more you are mature into Bhajana Kriya, the more it purifies, and that is called as Anartha Nivritti. Anartha matlab kya? Artha matlab kya? हाँ? Artha matlab? अरे कोई बिजनेसमैन नहीं क्या इधर? अरे एम के एम. अर्थ मतलब पैसा, पैसा ना? So valuable. Something which is not valuable is anartha. So anartha nivritti, something which is not wanted in our life will slowly, slowly will go away. That is called as anartha nivritti. After the anartha nivritti take place, then surely we start getting a strong conviction. We start getting a strong conviction. When the cleaning process is done, right? Then there is a strong conviction, that sufficient conviction that anything may rise in my life, but I will not leave Krishna. I will not leave chanting, right? That conviction is called as Nishtha. Okay. Those who are on the back side, you can also interact, and if you wish, you can come ahead, please. I would like to see you also in a closer way, in a closer association. There is a lot of space here also. Let's have a close association. Come ahead. Yeah, that's okay, that's okay. Give me some freedom to walk around. Little bit behind, little bit, so that I can walk around. Yeah, okay, good enough. Yeah. So that is called as nishtha or conviction or convince. You are convinced about yourself and you can convince to others also. Because why you don't want to leave Krishna now? Because you have developed a deep bonding, deep connection with Krishna, and that's why you don't want to leave. Right? That is a nishtha stage. right? And then after the Nishtha, when your connection is so well established, your philosophically so thoroughly established, then naturally what develops is a ruchi, attraction. Ruchi, very good. Attraction. And with that attraction comes a asakti, where you are strongly bonded or strongly connected. Asakti, where your mind will not like to go anywhere. It will like to bring back. That's called as asakti. जैसे छोटे बच्चे का मोबाइल अगर छीन लो तो कैसा रहता है? He cries to get it back. That's called as आसक्ति, है ना? तो हमको किसके बारे में आसक्ति होनी चाहिए? कृष्ण के बारे में. Let's have a Krishna app in our mobile, and we should be addicted to it, and not any other apps, right? Okay. So that is called as asakti, and when the asakti matures, then there is a emotions in the heart, and that emotion and then manifest into a love, a different rasa, prema, bhava and prem. Okay, so these are the 9 stages of a progression of a bhakti. Okay, Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur, he takes upon every stage and writes a one whole shower. Madhurya Kadambini means cloud bank of shower. Shower, ऐसा भी है ना, cloud है ना, पर कभी कभी हो रहा है. Cloud bank means so much condensed clouds and they are showering. So the first shower is Ado Shraddha, Sadhu Sangha, Bhajan Kriya, and subsequently he explains all these wonderful showers into his different chapters in Madhurya Kadambini. Okay, so we'll not be able to cover all this, but what we are here as instructed to me by Sachi Sucham Prabhu, I will just take up to that part. Okay, so so progress of devotion service is, there are stages. These are, okay, take your seat, thank you. So these are stages. Now these stages are not separate from each other. These stages are not separate from each other. Like for example, it is not like, you know, at a bhajan kriya, what is above bhajan kriya? Above bhajan kriya is what? Before that is what? Sadhu Sang. So one may say, okay, अभी मैं भजन क्रिया पे आ गया हूँ, माला करने लग गया हूँ, रेगुलेटरी प्रिंसिपल्स फॉलो करने लग गया हूँ, तो मुझे अभी साधु संघ की ज़रूरत नहीं है, मैं अकेला काफ़ी हूँ. Does our Acharya suggest that? Sometimes people say, मेरे तो गिरिधारी दूजो ना कोई. This is not our parampara. Okay? मेरे तो गिरधारी दूजो ना कोई और कोई दूसरा नहीं है. No, we need devotees. We need all their association to survive in a bhakti. What is our Acharya says? एकाकी अमारा नाहि पाय बल हरिनाम संकीर्तने. Right? एकाकी अमारा नाहि पाय बल. I always need association of devotees. That means when somebody is at a bhajan kriya, he has not given up sadhu sangha. Rather, the bhajan kriya is based upon the sadhu sangha. जैसे बिल्डिंग बढ़ती जाती है, आप नीचे का फ्लोर हटा देते हो क्या? शिफ्ट डिलीट कर सकते हैं क्या? नहीं कर सकते ना? Exactly. The building will rise above the first floor. After that, the second floor. That's how we cannot delete any foundation in between, right? So that's how the stages are, right? Ado Shraddha, that means the initial faith. Now we don't need that faith. No. Rather, as you progress ahead, your faith gets more and more stronger, more and more condensed, more and more supportive for your higher stages. Understood? So they are not indifferent from, they are not like a different stages from each other, but they are based upon each other. Am I right? Are we together?
Yes.
Thank you. Very good. So, so when we are at a one stage, it doesn't mean that also, let's say somebody who is at the bhajana kriya, it doesn't mean that he cannot have a nishtha or ruchi. Ruchi is what? Attraction. It doesn't mean that it will not have a ruchi or attraction. He will have. he will get experience of it, but it will just comes in a glimpse, थोड़ा सा glimpse मिलेगा, है ना, आगे क्या होने वाला है, जैसे वो सीरियल्स में दिखाते हैं ना, what are those movies which they make and they leave some part suspense for the sequel, right? है ना, sequel के लिए कुछ तो छोड़ देते हैं वो, and then you start guessing क्या होगा, right? That's how. Even at one stage, whatever stage we are in, let's say we are at the anartha nivrutti stage, but there is, Krishna gives us some glimpses of the higher stages. It gives us some glimpses of attraction. He gives that attraction, and that's why we are inquisitive to go rise above the current stage and go higher and higher. That also doesn't mean while you take the stairs, do you just climb one step and then the fifth step? If you do that, what will happen? Accident, right? So we have to go one step at a time. And when do you take the next step? When do you, Hare Krishna. So when do you go for the next step? Let's say I'm on the third step. Okay, I'm situated on the third step. Now I have to go on the fourth step. When do I put my fourth step? Leg on the fourth step? Yes. When I have my feet on the third step very firm, right? When I am very firm on the third step, then I lift my other feet and put it on the fourth. And when the feet is well placed on the fourth, then I pick up the other feet and place it on the fifth, right? That's what it means. We cannot just jump over it. We cannot just by our magic wand cannot go just ahead of it, no. So we need to firmly fixed upon this. So somebody who may be at anartha nivritti stage, right? So he may get a glimpse of ruchi, asakti, nishtha. He may get a glimpse, but prominently at that stage is anartha nivritti. When you are at bhajana kriya, prominently what your focus is bhajana kriya, right? Prominently, that's where, and that's what it defines where we are. Okay? Clear? Am I clear? Any questions so far? All good? Yeah, good. So let's go ahead. So this is the story of a bhakti. How does the bhakti starts, right? Now one may say, okay, when we start reading this and how Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur actually narrates this, it looks like, अरे ये तो मेरा ही लाइफ चल रहा है, भजन क्रिया, अनर्थ निवृत्ति, है ना? अनर्थ निवृत्ति ऐसा लगता है ऐसा रबर बैंड की जगह स्ट्रेच हुआ है मेरा, ये स्टेज इतना रबर बैंड की जगह स्ट्रेच हो चुका है, right? You know, I'm just going through this, when will this finish, right? So when we read through it, he defines the different aspect of all these stages, and we can easily able to correlate. That's a marvel of our acharyas, giving such a wonderful GPS, है ना, कि हम कहाँ पे हैं, किस दिशा में जा रहे हैं, right? So Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur then says, he puts up the question, okay, all this is okay, these are bhakti stages, but how does the bhakti begins? Ado Shraddha, with the faith, right? Yes? Loud enough? Yes. Ado Shraddha, yes? Actually says, there before is something more, right? Prelude तो हमने पढ़ा ही नहीं, preface पढ़ा ही नहीं हमने, ठीक है? So what's that? He says, okay, why is that? How many of we are here? Probably 100, 200 people, right? 200 devotees are here. How many youth are in Bombay? I'm asking a number. Huh? So, okay, he's saying 20-30 lakh. I assume so it. Okay, let's say 20-30 lakh youth are there. Out of those 20-30 lakh, why just you have got that Ado Shraddha, and why they didn't? He puts up this question. Why is that? Is Lord partial? Lord is not partial. Does Lord wants नहीं ये मेरे पास खीर है बस थोड़े लोगों के लिए, ऐसा लिमिटेड वर्जन है कि भगवान के पास? रादर लॉर्ड सेज मेरे पास अनलिमिटेड सीट्स है, अनलिमिटेड सीट्स है, डोंट कॉम्पिट विद ईच अदर, सबके लिए एक वैकेंसी है ना? यहाँ पर क्यों कंपटीशन होता है? क्योंकि सीट्स लिमिटेड है और इसके लिए कंपटीशन बढ़ जाता है ना? है कि नहीं? फिर एग्जाम्स में चीटिंग होती है, पेपर लीक होता है ना? कीपिंग इट असाइड, सो ही सेज देयर आर अनलिमिटेड सीट्स फॉर ऑल ऑफ यू, not just all of you, even those who are outsider, there is a vacancy, right? Then why is that? Why we have just got a faith and why others didn't get that faith? Okay, so he starts a dialogue and he starts thinking, okay, maybe you are here because I want you to write in such a way, okay? Why are we, okay, sorry. Hare Krishna. So why are we special to get a faith? So why have we that? Why are we special for that faith? Maybe it is because of, maybe he says, yeah? Okay, past Sukruti you are saying? Yes, what else? Okay, I'll come to it. First he says, that maybe because of we are carried the bhakti now because we are coming from our previous life. We are able to perform bhakti because of our previous life. We have already began the bhakti and that's why we are here, right? Okay, isn't it? Now the question arises still. The question is, where did it begin? In the previous life. Okay? Now the natural question arises by this is what?
In the previous life where we...
Exactly. तो अगर previous life में चल हुआ तो previous life में क्यों start किया हमने? So where did it begin? उसके previous life में. It should start with some point, right? Isn't it? Yes? You start writing it down with the arrow. You start writing it down. So one may say, okay, in a previous life probably, so Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur, he starts giving such a, this thing that maybe in a previous life you may be yoga brashta. Because of a yoga brashta, Bhagavad Gita says, you may get a better life, or better facilities to practice Krishna consciousness. But now previous life तो ठीक है, पर उसके उस life में कैसे begin हुआ? Then he says, yad ichchaya, that means by good fortune. By good fortune. By good fortune, you have got Krishna consciousness. You have got that faith. Now the question still rises, why just good fortune was bestowed upon you and why not on others? Isn't it? Yes? Should not be that big question? Yes. So why is that? Then he ponders over, maybe it is the good fortune was bestowed upon us because of the good pious activities. थोड़ा सा बड़ा लिखो. Pious activities. He may wonder about, okay, this may be because of the pious activities may have done. Pious. Now what could be the problem with the pious activities? That's the point we have not yet proved. Okay, yeah, still go on. What's your name? Sahil, yeah. Go on.
Yeah, like bhakti is beyond pious and impious activities. It is beyond karma, karmic activities.
Yeah.
Pious activities have results, and like
Okay, it is a karma. Yeah, yes. No, I'm talking about the pious activities, right? Let's stick to this. Let's stick to the what is in a hand. Okay. Yeah. You're saying something?
I'm actually raising a question here only.
Okay. Can we just put it in parking? Can we put question? Can we put it in parking? I will come to these things and then I will take up the question.
It's attention, not that much deep question.
Okay. Okay. Go ahead.
That means if bhakti starts with pious activities, is bhakti dependent on the pious activities?
Very good question. What's a pious activity means? What is the pious activity means? In a previous, in a previous era, they used to dig up a well, है ना? फिर बाद में वो dig up a well के जगह पे फिर वो एक ऐसा पानी का storage लगा देते थे टैंक कोई भी जो यात्री जा रहा है उनके लिए, right? This kind of pious activity, doing some dana, doing some tapa, doing some kind of pious activities. Are these pious activities falls in the category of bhakti? No, right? They are totally based upon material. So these pious activities are material. How can material activity gives rise to spiritual activity, right? Material is altogether different phenomena and spiritual is altogether different, right? It is like a Padma Patra Vimamasa, it cannot touch, the material activities cannot touch the bhakti. And of course, how can it gives rise to bhakti, right? That means even the pious activity cannot come to the yadichaya, that means the pious activities is not possible. The next question arises is, okay, if it is not a pious activity, how can then happens? I made a statement yadichaya. You are saying something? I will come to it. Yadichaya means actually Bhagavad Kripa, Lord's mercy. Okay, Lord's mercy. But the question remains the same. Write down Lord's mercy.
What are the criteria one is eligible to get God's mercy?
Okay, that's a. How can there be criteria? Tell me. How can there be criteria? If there is a criteria for Lord's mercy, that means Lord is partial. Lord is not partial. Is Lord partial? No. He reigns everywhere, right? So, okay, I gave the wrong example. But Lord is not partial. Lord's mercies should be for everybody. Then why just bunch of you youths are sitting here and not others? Huh?
Because we are
Accepting it and others are not accepting it. Huh? Have you really realized the Lord's mercy in your life? Somewhere. Okay. What is it? Actually, Lord says, I have given this job to my, you have outsourced some job to some company, right? So Lord says, I have given this job of mercy to my Madhyam Adhikari. So, how do we get a faith is by the devotees. Devotees mercy, right? So, Lord has outsourced this department to the Madhyam Adhikari. Madhyam Adhikari, he chooses where to go, whom to distribute the books. He thinks over who could be in a better way to take upon this, right? And that's how by the devotee's mercy we get a bhakti. Bhakti cannot come by any material phenomena. Can it come by any material phenomena? No. Bhakti can give rise to the bhakti. Bhakti in the heart of a devotee can give rise to the bhakti to the others. That's what it means. A Madhyam Adhikari actually does a preaching, and through his preaching then he actually expands that Krishna's love. He shares that Krishna's love to the person at his discrimination to whom he wants to give, right? So we all have become somewhere receptors of that some devotee's mercy. If you always trace it back in our life, If you always trace it back in life, it had begun with a devotee in our life, isn't it? Yes? Trace it back. It always have begun with some devotee in a life. So actually, what it means is, the bhakti cannot begin with the previous life. Actually, that cannot be an answer for it. It is not just by the good fortune. It is not by the any pious or any amount of pious activities may one do. It cannot be. It cannot depend upon that. Bhakti cannot just depend upon Lord's mercy, because the Lord doesn't take that department. He has already outsourced to devotees. It is only by the devotees' mercy that we get the bhakti, right? So Adho Shraddha actually has come to us. That beginning of the faith is actually comes to us. That bhakti has come. We have received that bhakti, faith, through a devotee, and that's how the seed is planted in our heart, right? And that's how the seed will take up from the Adho Shraddha, and slowly it will sprout up and it will take to the highest stages in the life. So one thing is, you are saying, who was saying it? Sahil, you are saying it is not dependent upon anything. Yes, it cannot be dependent upon the any kind of karma, dana, jnana, tapa. No. And it is a self-manifesting, in the sense bhakti only gives rise to the bhakti, right? Okay. So far we have done with this. How does this happens is, then how did we came to execution of this bhakti is, how we started executing this bhakti. We have picked up some forms of bhakti, like chanting probably first, or probably you may have got engaged just into reading Prabhupada books, or probably you just got engaged into volunteering for services, prasadam serving, right? Somewhere you started, somewhere. Let's assume you started doing the practice of devotional service. You started doing this practice of devotional service, and after that you start feeling a lot of bliss. How wonderful is this association is. How wonderful I am feeling, right? And then you got more attracted, right? The more attraction developed, isn't it? More attraction developed for this bhakti limbs. And then by developing that attraction, then you practiced more devotional service, right? Then somebody encouraged you more, and you felt more attraction for the devotees, and you started counseling from them, and then they started asking you to increase some rounds, right? So practice of devotional service developed attraction, more practice of devotional service, that led to more attraction led to the more devotional service, and that's how there is a loop. But how did we enter into this loop? This attraction is given to us by mercy. That mercy is actually copyright of a devotee, right? And that mercy, and that's how the important the devotee in our life is, right? While we enter into this loop, more and more, we developed a lot more faith. The more we go through, the more attraction, more devotional service, more attraction, more devotional service, we developed more faith. Our faith becomes more condensed and solid, and becomes a foundation for this ahead of these 9 stages, right? And that's how we are here at Adho Shraddha. Okay. Now we are running out of time. Maybe I will just explain something about Shraddha as the day starts coming in. I'll just explain something about the Shraddha, and we'll then close this. Shraddha, now there could be a Shraddha, somebody just say, you have some question? Yeah.
How does Madhyamatiyaris become devotees?
Oh, there's a so see that this stage, this classification is different. This is nothing to do with this. This is in every individual bhakta's life. These stages he has to go through. Okay. Whereas Kanishta, Madhyama and Uttama. This is a classification. Kanishta is one who has very weak or very meek faith. He is such a weak faith. If he is talking, somebody talks him about a Krishna, he takes about Krishna. Somebody talks him about a Jesus Christ, he may go there. That's how weak his faith is. You understand the point? He matures his faith and goes to a Madhyama Adhikari where he is practicing strongly, where he has a good support from the scriptures, he understands and tries the scriptures properly, and then base his foundation upon Guru, Sadhu and Shastra. Right? And that is called as Madhyama Adhikari. So he has a good foundation, but he has not developed the perfection yet. When he goes to the perfection level, that's called as Uttama Adhikari, right? Who is having at the Nishtha platform, strong conviction, he can convince others also, right? That's a Uttama Adhikari. Okay, and these in one sense we can categorize this based upon the faith. Okay. Okay, any other questions somebody has? Any other questions? Okay, all good? All good? Okay, I'll just briefly explain about the Adho-Shraddha. Adho-Shraddha, the faith can be of the one faith which is called as a cultural faith, which comes from, this is called as Laukika faith, Laukika Shraddha. Laukik, the word itself says, Laukik in the sense, it's like, sorry? Ordinary, okay, Laukik. Laukik in the sense, because my culture, my background is already, we have a Laddu Gopal being worshipped in our family. And that's why every year we also go to the Janmashtami and I do fast also, right? Fasting earlier means what, you know, थोड़ा शाबुदाना खिचड़ी वगैरह ये सब कुछ खा के fasting. जब ISKCON में आते तभी fasting समझ में आता है कि अरे निर्जल fasting कर भी होता है कुछ. That time we didn't have any conception about this. Okay, anyways. So that is called like a Laukika Shraddha. Laukik Shraddha is actually which is just based upon some culture, some cultural, some family tradition, something which is based upon it. How strong that Shraddha could be? How strong that Shraddha could be? Very low. It cannot actually mature to a good stage unless, because that Shraddha can easily be shaken. That easily be shaken because the family and tradition can be anytime be questioned, and there are many YouTubers nowadays who give such a speculated theories about why should we do this, why should we do that, you know, these kind of rituals and this kind of traditions are being questioned. Laukik Shraddha is very low. So he should mature to the Adho Shraddha. Adho Shraddha categorized into the Laukik Shraddha, and the second Shraddha is categorized as a Swabhaviki Shraddha, that is which is your Swabhav, that is within your core of the soul, that is, it should be based upon a proper philosophy and scriptures. When somebody takes to the proper reading of scriptures, trying to understand it, then he develops the Swabhaviki Shraddha. Understand the point? Okay? So that is called Swabhaviki Shraddha, that can act as a good basis for us to progress. Now one may say, okay, हम तो उधर भी नहीं है और इधर भी नहीं है, स्क्रिप्चर्स भी हमने पूरा भागवतम पढ़ा ही नहीं किया अभी तक, और कल्चरल से भी मूड अपॉन. So there is in between a stage called as Balodpadika Shraddha. That means we have heard from somebody, we have been preached by somebody, right? But even that stage is also not so steady stage. We have to move ahead, and that is called as come to somewhere Swabhaviki Shraddha. And that's why it is so important for all of us to regularly read Srila Prabhupada books. So have a different groups, have a good friendships among the devotees and read together Srila Prabhupada books, share with them, update in your groups, make such a groups, or even you can join some Zoom reading session where you read Prabhupada books, start reading for at least 15 minutes, for at least a half an hour, something, right? And establish your faith into this Swabhaviki Shraddha. Otherwise, there have been many people who come to the culturally faith, but they have no strong foundation. They are just spread away very easily. So let's get into that adoshrita, let's get into that faith which can make our foundation very strong. Okay. Okay, there could be many other stages, and each different stages actually, Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur defines very wonderfully all these wonderful stages. Probably we can have some other time, some other sessions, and some other different courses where we can attain through and we can read over this book. Thank you all very much. Hare Krishna, Shri Prabhupada Ki Jai, Gaura.
Hare Krishna, thank you so much each and one of you for joining this IYS camp.